Oh, yeah, Judy Greer!
Feeling good.
That's an awesome scene.
I know, I haven't seen that.
That's a pretty good scene.
Well, I mean, I saw it when it first came out, but that was fun. It was fun to watch it again.
Do you like watching yourself back?
No,
Do you ever
I hate it.
Why do people hate it? Is it like, what's the reason?
I think it's with listening to your voice. If you ever hear your voice for the first time, and now people do more because of movies and, I don't know, doing Vines. Is that what it is?
You do Vines,
I'm 100 years old, apparently, but what's that thing? Snapchat that the kids are doing? But
They sure are.
Those kids.
The idea of this book, though, I don't know, that whole idea of where do I...
Yeah.
So you must have heard that a bunch of times.
Yeah, it's true. I was here this weekend and I went to the Yorkdale Mall.
Right.
And this woman, she was like, aren't you an actress? And I was like, here we go. And she goes, you're from 27 Dresses. And I was like, I am. I am from 27 Dresses. And then she goes, what else? And I'm like, but you just said a thing. Can't we stop now? Can't that be it? Yeah. She was like, no, I need to know another thing. Tell me another thing. And I was like, wow.
What did you choose? What did you tell her?
I chose the wedding planner because I felt like it was wedding related, and if she liked 27 dresses, perhaps she saw that. Thank you.
I mean, at what point did it's fun, and you've actually done a really good job of figuring out your own way through this identity, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not like you don't work. You work a lot. Your list of credits is incredible.
Yeah.
You know, we put a montage together for you.
No.
Watch this.
Really?
I want you to...
Nice to meet you.
I'm gonna have to take it really slow, okay?
You want to be next?
There you go. You brought, and it's funny that you brought up the wedding planner. I'm not going to ask you what it's like to kiss all those people because that's none of my business. So, but
it's great.
But we all know that there's movie kissing, right? But who didn't understand the line? Which one of those guys was kind of like, you're like, we're on camera, bro. Peace.
Gosh, you know, not one of them, I'm ashamed to say. And like, so many times, like, actresses are like, oh, I had a love scene with so-and-so, and it went a little too far or whatever. Like, you know, when that happens, and I'm like, no, no guy's ever really crossed the line with me at work. I don't know if I should be offended by that, or...
But I mean, if you go to Descendants, but people may not remember this, but it was a pretty heated scene in Three Kings.
Yeah.
So you've had George Clooney 15 years apart.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I have. And it was funny because people were like, ooh, you get to kiss George a second time. And I was like, technically, we never kissed in Three Kings.
Right. There was other stuff.
Yeah, there was other stuff. There was lots of other stuff, and that was fun. But there was no kissing, no.
Is it the career that you had hoped it would be?
I didn't have any idea when I started. I always thought every job is gonna be the last. I kind of still do a little bit.
But that's blue collar, isn't that the whole idea?
Yeah, man, I just try to keep working. Like, that's how I was brought up. Like, you decide what you're gonna be when you grow up, and then you do it. You don't say no to the jobs because then you're not working, you know? Like, do plumbers ever say, yeah, I'm not gonna snake that drain. I'm not into it today.
That house doesn't meet my artistic needs.
No, I'm not feeling that Toto toilet. I'm like, no.
So you were Livonia, right? Just outside of Detroit, but in Michigan.
That's Livonia, yeah.
So you know, I mean, that whole place is built on blue collar manufacturing.
Yeah. My dad, he was an engineer, which was what he wanted to be when he was a little boy. And my mom started as a nurse and then was an administrator at a hospital in Detroit. And
she worked in hospice too, didn't she, later?
Yeah, when I went back to college, she went back to college and got a degree in hospice care because she loves death. She's into it, man.
Or cultivating those final moments of life,
that's
Judy.
what she would say. She called me once and she was like, oh, honey, I had the most beautiful death today. It was so beautiful. And I was like, Mom, I know, but it's great. Thank God for people like that, because I couldn't do it. And she has great stories. She had a client who wanted all of her cats on the bed when she was passing away. And my mom said, have you ever tried to get 3 cats to do one thing, like in a really important moment? Like, she was like, that was a hard day at work.
But this idea of embracing this version of your career.
Yeah, well.
Was it articulated for you, or did you figure out that, oh, I'm that girl?
No, I just No, it wasn't articulated for me, but it's just always how I've done my career. I've never waited around to see what was going to happen. I've sort of been like, I'm thinking it like a bird in the hand, you know? Like, I'm not going to... Sometimes when you get a cool role, like, say, The Descendants was a great movie, and it was a great role, and I was so lucky to get it. And I auditioned for it, and I got it. And sometimes people will, in a movie like that, wait till it comes out and then see what happens, you know? But I don't do that. I did my job, and then I tried to get another job, you know? And who knows what's going to happen. I could have been cut out of that movie. Like, you just never know.
Right.
So I never like to stop for a second.
Film
ever.
like that, when I saw it much later, there was so much that happens in that movie in the empty spaces that it's almost impossible, especially if you reach a certain age, you're like, oh.
I know.
This is heavy duty.
I know. When we were shooting those scenes in the hospital room, mine and George's after, it was a closed set. It was almost like shooting like a love scene. Like no one else was allowed to be around. It was very quiet. We were given a lot of time and space. I like to listen to music, my iPod before I do scenes like that.
What do you listen to?
Well, I used to listen to Coldplay until a friend of mine said, like, oh, Coldplay is like cry music, and then he ruined it for me.
Speaking of Chris Martin connected to Gwyneth, didn't you say this thing you're working on is like blue-collar goop?
I know, my Reluctantly Healthy.
Reluctantly Healthy.
Yeah.
The tweet, I saw a tweet that was just super funny.
Oh, good.
Here's Judy Greer's tweet. Got recognized from a healthy living web series, Reluctantly Healthy, while waiting in line at McDonald's this morning.
Yeah.
Hashtag irony.
Probably hungover while I was waiting in line for McDonald's.
Stick around more with Judy Greer.
That came out.
Fill me in on your process.
Well, I start with a pastry crust. Okay, well, it's not exactly a pastry crust. It's soy-based instead of butter. And see, I'm macrobiotic. Did I tell you that?
He owns, like, studios in New York, like buildings.
Welcome back. Judy Greer is here. So,
that was my first ever acting job.
Right.
Technically, though, it wasn't my first acting job, but it was the first thing that ever aired, because I did a movie before that, but it didn't come out because movies take, like, forever to come out.
so did you end up renting it on VHS or Beta, or how'd it go?
That's funny. Laserdisc, dude. Laserdisc.
Oh, we can't all be from the suburbs who have a laser disc.
Yeah, come on. You flip it halfway through. Yeah. Fisher Stevens was actually the first person I ever saw in person speaking on a cellular telephone.
Was he talking to Michelle Pfeiffer at the time, his wife?
I didn't know. I was always like, oh my God, who's he talking to on that thing? What is it?
Okay, so now most actors and actresses don't want to give their age, but you remember seeing someone talking on a phone.
For the first time.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and another technology tidbit about my life is Jennifer Garner taught me how to text message. On the set of 13 Going on 30, she was pressing her buttons, and I was like, what are you doing? She's like telling someone to do a thing, and I was like, how?
When they sent you the script to be an Archer, or to do an episode, the line you read and went, I can't believe I get to say this on television.
Gosh, I mean, the whole script when I read it, I didn't think it was ever going to be on television, because I was like, it's too dirty, it's too terrible, and it's too smart and funny. And now it's like, people stop me on the street because of it.
Yeah, so now they know exactly where they know you from.
They do, and it's not even my face.
What's the filthiest thing you've had to say in that show?
Oh gosh, so many things. I can't remember off the top of my
Things
head.
are embarrassing that have come out of your mouth, like that embarrassing kind of terrible stuff?
No, I'm never embarrassed of it. It's art.
It is. I don't know what you know me from. Confessions of a Co-Star. Judy Greer, everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Good things, Canada.